Welcome everybody to another Partner Sparks update here. My name is JJ from Genesys, and today I'm going to take you through Genesys Cloud Predictive Routing. Now, this is brand new, just become available within Genesys Cloud CX, and it's really, really exciting. It gives you the ability to leverage machine learning and AI technology within Genesys Cloud CX to match customers to agents who are most likely to deliver the best customer experiences and improve your outcomes and your business KPIs. So this is a routing method that's entirely automated based on machine learning. So the goal of predictive routing is to route an agent to the right place. Usually an agent, but could equally be a voice bot. Now, all these different factors on the left-hand side need to be taken into account: your IVR flows, your queues, skills-based routing, preferred agent routing, and so on and so forth. You could ask, why should we treat every call exactly the same? Because the data that we have from the performance of the agent and the history of the customer, when they last contacted us, what's their lifetime value, outcomes from previous calls should really all be taken into account. But we can't leverage those, what we call data points, using the manual configuration. So what we've introduced is predictive routing here that uses machine learning to learn all those outcomes and all that history and all those data points. And if you want to leverage those automatically and really produce really cool and effective outcomes for both your customers and your contact center, you could use predictive routing to achieve exactly that. So let's take this into a slightly different context here. Let's think about what we've got. We've got an agent called Alice and an agent called Ben. And what we're going to do typically in a manual configuration is put these two agents into an agent group, into a queue, and we'll just deliver every interaction to them that's relevant to their skill level or perhaps language levels and so on and so forth. But what we can do, if we look at these two customers that we have, Ted and Amanda, we can look at the more granular details. This is what we call the data points. And these data points change from every interaction to interaction. Now, we're just going to focus on voice interactions for the time being, but you can see that Ted is a customer that rings through on a regular basis, but he's very good at self-help. He's exhausted all his online options, and he really comes through at the last minute when he can't resolve something. So he's what we would class as a complex caller. Amanda, on the other hand, is working in a department that's just updating bookings on a regular basis. So, you know, in comparison, her requests are relatively straightforward, where she just wants to ring through and maybe change bookings for her business travel or so on and so forth. So what we could do here, we can look in these data points in Genesys Cloud using the machine learning AI technology, and we can establish based on last performances that actually Alice is really efficient at handling those standard inquiries. She's super fast at handling her call, and she gets those closed down and moves on to the next one. So that's twofold, isn't it? It makes the customer extremely happy with the service they're getting, and secondly, it really speeds up the handle time within the KPI within the contact center. Now, on the other hand, Ben is super good at troubleshooting calls or helping more complex callers. So he would be ideally suited to connect to Ted and take his interaction. Now, in a manual configuration, that might, by luck, or might not happen. It really depends on how you've configured your routing. And of course, that routing will be set in stone for every interaction. But with the AI technology, what we do here, we would instantly be able to look at those data points and establish that Amanda is best served by Alice and Ted by Ben. So now you can start to see how using this historic and contextual data within Genesys Cloud, that can be extracted by our AI model and leveraged in a wonderful way. Let's look at that in a bit more detail. So we've got this machine learning model in the center of Genesys Cloud. We've got all these influences coming in from interaction to interaction. Let's say we've got an average handle time here, coming into a queue with an average handle time set as a KPI, and Victoria here rings in. What AI would do here is it would look at the best pool of agents in that queue and say, right, which agent is going to be most suited to answer Victoria based on the KPI of average handle time. And irrespective of the status of Ben, Amy, and Deb, JJ would get that interaction purely based on that automatic evaluation of the AI technology right in the middle of this flow mechanism. Likewise, if we've got surplus agents or surplus customers, we do exactly the same thing. We evaluate all that data, all the data points within the machine learning process, and figure out which customer or which agent are best suited to interact with one another to get the best outcomes for both parties. The great thing is, if we think about Amy on the far right here, Amy takes this interaction from a customer. We evaluate the customer data. Okay, we evaluate Amy's data. We take all those results, no matter where they could be from. There's multiple data points, of course. We take all those results and we feed that analytic data back into the engine. So what happens is next time the interaction comes in, maybe Amy will be best suited for that based on the outcome from this call, or that customer may ring in and next time be delivered to an agent elsewhere, or Amy again based on the outcome of their data as well. So all these data points are stitched together after every single interaction and constantly fed into the machine learning process. And this is how it becomes so effective to use predictive routing, because it's constantly learning, constantly updating. And I think you agree that's impossible, if not very difficult to update so regularly in a manual configuration. So let's jump into a quick demo and see how we configure this within Genesys Cloud. So first of all, what we need to do is hop over to our Genesys App Foundry. In there, if you search for predictive routing, you'll find the plugin. If we search for that, you'll find it here on the left-hand side. Click in there and you'll see currently there's a 30-day trial at the point of this recording. That is subject to change, so make sure you do read the details and make sure the offer is good for you. So then how do we build out the configuration? Well, if you're familiar with Genesys Cloud, you'll recognize here that I'm in our single skin administration. So JJ's got access to the whole admin portal. And if he actually navigates to the queues that's configured in the contact center, you'll see there's an extra column in my table here. If you're not familiar with this, this is an extra column, predictive routing evaluation. And that's the first stage of 2 that we have to go to establish whether or not predictive routing is going to really serve your customers and your agents, or in general, your business. So we can hit the Get Started link here, which will take us to a predictive routing evaluation page. Now, I'm not going to run an evaluation on the platform, the demo platform here, because it does take a couple of factors into account. So I'm going to just switch to a different screen here, and I'm going to take you through this video concept. So I'm going to click the Start Evaluation here. And what predictive routing evaluation will do is go and look at every queue on your org and decide whether or not it can be optimized or potential optimization. So here you can see a queue that's configured with preferred agent routing. Now, because that's a bespoke style of routing, that will not be evaluated. But the rest of the queues, because they got standard routing, will be evaluated. Now we see an outcome from the evaluation process around whether or not we could potentially have high optimization. And if we've got high optimization, that means that this is going to work really, really well with predictive routing. So let's dive into this level 2 support MAC queue and establish where we could really benefit from high optimization. Now, it's reporting here that it's actually believing that average handle time is the ultimate optimization for this queue. So the next stage is to run a comparison test. And this is why I'm showing you the video today, because we have to do a comparison test with 50% of interactions being pushed via predictive routing into your contact center and the other 50% using your standard routing method. Now, remember that we had a standard KPI, average handle time, that we could potentially optimize. So we've chosen that performance, that KPI here, and click Start. And this is just going to evaluate this queue. So now over a period of 14 days, it will push every interaction that comes into your Genesys Cloud org will be evaluated. 50% will be pushed through your standard method and 50% through predictive routing. And after the 14-day evaluation, if we click into the queue here, it will give us an indication of how successful that's been. Now you can see straight away the timestamp with 14 days across April and May there. And we've evaluated 4,296 calls via predictive routing and 4,415 through the standard engine that you've already got configured in your org. And we estimate that we can bring down that average handle time by 3.61%. Now, that doesn't look a lot, but if you look at it in time saved, look, it's over 29 hours. And that's just for that queue. That is truly amazing. Great thing is we can go to the daily performance down the bottom here. We can open up this chart and we can evaluate then the stats and how we came to that conclusion, just to reinforce whether or not we go forward with activating it. So here we can see the interactions of predictive and non-predictive. And on this chart here, we can see how we can lower our average handle time by date basis. So lots of information there to really encourage us to make a decision. I think it's an absolute no-brainer that we should switch predictive routing on. So we're going to click the switch on button here, make sure we've got the right KPI selected and click start. And that will then instantly activate predictive routing. You'll see it active now on the level 2 MAC queue. Now we're going to have a standard KPI out the box, and that will be average handle time for voice calls. But then later on, of course, this will going to be enhanced. The more customers that use it, the more feedback we get. We'll enhance these KPIs accordingly, could well be customized. And of course, we'll also bring in potentially other interaction types as well. So please do go over to the App Foundry, get this installed, have a play with it, give us feedback. If you need any additional information, of course, you're welcome to reach out to your CSM or your account manager or the sales team, and they'll happily oblige and support you with your every need. So thanks for watching this session from the Partner Sparks team. I hope you thoroughly enjoyed predictive routing. Until next time, be safe, and I'll speak to you again soon.